Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. It was 4 years of Nancy Pelosi, 4 years when Nancy Pelosi was the leader of the House. And I can't remember one moment when Nancy Pelosi actually admitted the truth. It was 4 years of obfuscating propaganda nonsense, 4 years of lies. And do you think that it's a coincidence that now that she's no longer Speaker of the House, less than a month as the House transitions to a new Speaker and a Democrat minority, all of a sudden Nancy Pelosi is making stunning admissions, actually saying the truth? The fact that there's an incentive to lie. The higher you go in the world of politics, these people get put in positions of power, and the more likely they are to lie and to propagate false information shows how absolutely twisted, how demented the world of politics is, frankly. And this right here is a perfect example. Nancy Pelosi makes a stunning admission about why and how Democrats lost the House in 2022. And while it doesn't tell the whole story, it's certainly part of it. And it's certainly true. Alright folks, it only took 4 years. It only took decades for Nancy Pelosi to say something that I agree with. Pelosi makes stunning accusation against New York Democrats, blames them for 2022 midterm losses. Former Democrat House Speaker and California Representative Nancy Pelosi is blaming New York Democrats in part for why she is no longer Speaker. She said that she believed the Democrats could have held on to the House in November if top New York polls had realized that the key issue in the state was crime. Author Maureen Dowd, who was interviewing the former Speaker of the House for the New York Times, said that is an issue that had to be dealt with early on, not 10 days before the election. The former Speaker said the governor didn't realize soon enough where the trouble was. That was before she and her daughter Alexandria, who was included in the interview, spoke about the toll the attack on her husband, Paul Pelosi, took on them, with her daughter making a shocking revelation: the fact that they were after me and then they hit him. The representative said he's a strong person, athletic. It's going to be about 3 to 4 more months before he's back to normal. I think that weighed really heavy on her soul. I think that she really felt guilty, that it really broke her over Thanksgiving. She had priests coming trying to have an exorcism of the House and having prayer services, a stunning admission. But you know, the same thing that we saw the southern border. What did Greg Abbott say in his scathing letter to Joe Biden again? 2 years too late and $2 billion too little. It's funny how Democrats only admit the facts after elections. And I wonder if New York Democrats are going to change their tune headed into the 2024 election? I highly doubt it, but Nancy Pelosi is right. The number one issue in New York is crime. You know, Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul keep trying to push this narrative that New York City is the safest place in America. And of course, they cherry-pick the data in order to make that disingenuous point. But the simple fact of the matter is that New Yorkers don't feel safe because Democrat city officials have let them down. Every single week we see a crazed maniac in the subway attacking and assaulting an innocent civilian. It's constantly happening. Actually, it happened again. Just the other day, Fox News meteorologists attacked a Fox News weatherman was attacked and brutally beaten by several teens on a New York City subway while traveling home from a bar after watching a football game on Saturday, after he tried to stop them from harassing an older writer. Meteorologist Adam Klotz, 37, posted videos of his injuries on Instagram, appearing bruised above the eyes and face while also saying that he had visible injuries to his ribcage. He explained that the group of 6 or 7 teens set upon him and pummeled him to the ground after he implored them to stop bothering an older man. The New York Post reported, here's a clip of him describing the events. He says, "Yeah. Last night, coming home from watching the Giants game at a bar on the subway. This older gentleman was being hassled by this group of 7 or 8 teens. And I was like, yo guys, cut that out. And they decided, alright, if he's not gonna get it, and you're gonna get it, and boy did they give it to me. They had me on the ground like my ribs. They're all kinda bruised up to they got their hits in. But that guy can get out of there. He's fine. And the cops grabbed a couple of these kids. And, you know, I got x-rays. I'm okay. This is all gonna heal. So it's all good. You know what I mean? New York City. Want to place the Big Apple. Okay folks, and this is a constant in New York City. It's total anarchy, to be honest. He got off pretty easy. The bruising around his eyes. Isn't that substantial? We've seen much worse than that. Actually. Remember, I think it was a bodega owner, an immigrant from India or Bangladesh. I forget exactly the country, who was brutally beaten by a gang of teens on the streets of New York for simply wearing a Trump hat to make America great again. Hats its toll will anarchy. The city has become a complete chaos-free reign for criminals to do whatever they want. Do they have tighter gun regulations and less gun crime? Sure. But when it comes to robberies, when it comes to indiscriminate beatings, when it comes to feeling safe traveling on public transportation, it's just not a place you want to be living as a New Yorker. You kind of depend on that public transportation. Nobody wants to own a car in New York, but the subway system is a complete disgrace. You should see some of these videos online. Garbage and filth everywhere. Open drug use, hobo encampments on the subway itself, crazed lunatics suffering meth, psychosis or other types of psychosis going crazy, assaulting passengers, people getting pushed onto the subway rails. It's crazy. And it's years too late. All of a sudden, Nancy Pelosi is starting to speak up now. Too late. And where's the solution? Democrats still refuse to hold a strong stance against bail reform and defunding the police. They're too late, and they're not offering solutions. They're not actually tackling the issue. Honestly, they're merely saying the right thing on the surface but not doing the right thing. And it's high time that people wake up and realize that, just like on the southern border, they acknowledge that there's a problem once it hurts them politically after the election season, but then never really do anything about it. Nancy Pelosi is right. The issue of crime did lose Democrats the state of New York. You've seen the map a million times because I show you pretty much every single time we talk about this topic. Every single New York county shifted rightward. The current Democratic governor Kathy Hochul won her election by 5 percentage points instead of 20. I think it's too little too late. And it's showing a serious point of attack. The issue of crime as a winning issue in New York and possibly other states. The issue of general lawlessness and total irresponsibility, and especially Democrat dishonesty and inaction on important issues. That should be the conversation here. There's a reason these Democrat-led mega cities are failing. And of course, New York isn't the only one. You guys might not be aware of this, but San Francisco has been long heralded as one of the richest places in the United States of America, especially when it comes to their tax coffers. It also happens to be the district that Nancy Pelosi represents, and Democrats are always telling us how San Francisco boasts an $18 billion surplus. Look how responsible they are. They tell us as residents are forced to walk over feces and needles and through hobo encampments to walk their kids to the damn school bus. But from 2019 to 2023, missing billions. What migration is costing the Bay Area of the city saw a nearly $7 billion bleed away from out-migration in 2019 and 2020. Taxpayers are fleeing, businesses are fleeing, and these cities are trending rightward. Democrats are saying the right thing in certain cases, but they're not doing the right thing. It's about time the GOP get their act together. Because if you can't win elections when your opponent is constantly shooting themselves in the foot, when the standard your opponents set is feces in hobo encampments and re-releasing violent felon criminals onto the streets because I don't know, my wokeism or my compassion or something. If that's the standard that you're up against, and you can't win, well, then something is deeply, deeply wrong. The state of Florida and the state of New York are showing the possible forward Republican trend. Take the message, run with a solution, and more importantly, run with it. The DNC is in an injured state and it's time to win the race. And then, some significant news, there's a good chance that this Federal Bureau of Investigation agent who was arrested and indicted and possibly could face up to 20 years in prison for several crimes, several felonies, there's a good chance that this person would not have become embroiled in these criminal acts were it not for the Trump investigation that he helped start. So if it wasn't for the Trump investigation, and this individual started with the Papadopoulos setup, so the official that was indicted at the Bureau, okay, retired top Federal Bureau of Investigation counterintelligence agent who led Trump probe, arrested for his own ties to oligarchy from that country. This individual charged with breaking U.S. sanctions against the oligarch from that country and laundering currency. Okay, so you have to ask yourself, would he be in trouble right now? If he had not? If he had not begun the investigation into Trump and set up Papadopoulos. So if you read right now, this is a Fox News article, though not referenced in related to the indictment. The former Bureau agent, while serving as chief of Cyber Crime Section at the Bureau headquarters in Washington, DC was one of the first bureau officials to learn of allegations that George Papadopoulos, the campaign advisor for former President Donald Trump, boasted that he knew of dirt on Clinton, which, by the way, he never boasted. Okay. Launching the investigation into alleged so the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. So he's one of the people who started the most apoplectic, one of perhaps the most apoplectic frenzy and hysteria in American political history that amounted to absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, that it was a complete fantasy that was conjured up and fabricated. They said that Trump would be indicted and charged, and instead, the people who tried to set him up and frame him are now going to prison. And this is actually even better than the Durham probe. Okay. Because you have one of the people who set up Trump now facing 20 years in prison. And this is Biden's for helping an oligarch evade sanctions. Okay. So the sanctions now are very serious. Obviously, they're even more serious. Because of what's taking place in Europe, the invasion that took place under a mashed potato brains and his presidency during his presidency. So Trump essentially got this man arrested and indicted, or if Trump had never been in the White House, there's a chance that this individual would never have gotten involved with the oligarch. And so it's interesting, it's really interesting, because you have a situation where oftentimes government officials, it's like a corrupt law enforcement mentality, and I support law enforcement, I support, the men and women who risk their lives every single day, I'm talking about the bad apples. Okay. Where they think, hey, I am the law. So what's the problem? Again, I do support law enforcement very much, but there are bad apples in every industry, and every walk of life. And so that is the most, sinister type of criminal, because if you're at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or if you're tasked with protecting the country or protecting a city, and you are the law, well, then if you commit crimes, it's very difficult for you to get caught. Okay. Because who's going to investigate the law? And so this individual probably said, hey, I am leading the charge against Trump. They'll never accuse me of working with this oligarch or trying to help him evade sanctions. So had he never met Trump, or had Trump never helped initiate the investigation into Trump, he might never have gotten involved in the way that he did? Okay. It's really interesting when you read about this, on Fox News and elsewhere, everything that he accused Trump of doing, he ended up doing almost everything. It's really bizarre. The Trump curse is real, ladies and gentlemen. You can see what happened Alec Baldwin last week. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts below and hit subscribe. See you again.